Because, I mean, even the fact that we, sorry, no, I'm not going to go down that road yet. But, so again, you start off with receiving, you receive ideas, you receive the things in your life, and then you make a choice based on what you receive. You know, like you received a bill, and you probably weren't necessarily thinking of it coming to your mailbox. You didn't attract it. God knows we're not trying to attract bills. Okay? But you go into your mailbox, you're like, damn it, like this bill, and you open it up and please make it be under $100. And you're like, great, 200. How the hell did that happen? And totally received it because you weren't trying to bring it into your existence. And then you have to make a choice, right? And the choice is where the attraction starts to come to play. So in terms of the equation, receiving generally comes first. Even an idea, honestly, even an idea is something that you receive. And then you make a choice, and the choice is going to tell you how the methodology you're going to use to attract whatever. If you need to come up with the money because you're going to pay it, you're going to pay it by the end of the week, all those things are going to tell you now what is it that you have to do to attract that into your existence and be able to pay it. And then the last part of the equation is your attitude. Your attitude around what it is that you have to do. So does it actually get to you to the point where it's making you, it's making you frustrated? Or are you neutral and you are completely 100% fine with the fact that it is a lot of money that you have to come up with, but it's not actually going to tamper with the way that I feel? So going back again, receiving is generally what comes first, and I know that people would have arguments. And the attracting would come second, and then the attitude or the acceptance around the fact that when you try to attract, you may come up short, is what comes third. Does anybody have anything to say about that? Does anyone still feel like, there may be loopholes within that? Yeah.
Well, how I interpret what you're saying is that you can work with what you have rather
right.
than to start with, rather than worrying about attaining things that might be outside of your immediate grasp.
Yeah.
And whereas, as you say, it's something in the hand, you already know you have that, so then that's a value, and look at what you can do with that.
Yeah, exactly. Anybody else? Yeah, Sadina?
Just also looking at the journey along the way, because it's like, you really want to attract something, but you're just so busy focused on what you're attracting, you're not even looking at the reality of what's happening now,
right.
For all, or any opportunities that come your way, because it's not enough.
Yes.
It's like you receive this, it's like, oh, I got $100, whatever, I need 1,000. But you didn't even realize, I got $100, wow, that's great, as opposed to, you know what I mean, and I'm guilty of it as well, as opposed to always, instead of looking at each opportunity or each gift as a gift, as something wonderful, you're still always focused on the end goal and not even realizing the journey that you've taken, that you would need to take, or that the things that are happening right now in order to get there.
Exactly. If I were to say to you, life is about change, or life is about gains, and I said to pick one, who would say it's about change? And who would say it's about gains?
Both.
Yeah, totally. You can make an argument to say that life is about change and it's about gains, right? But even when you gain, it's a change.
Right.
If we were to make a hierarchy of where it would fall, you wouldn't say that it's equal, right? For the most part, you probably would pick one over the other. And so if most people say that life is about change as opposed to gains, then isn't life more about receiving? Because if it was just about gains, we would constantly work on attracting things that would make us grow. And we have control over that at all times. But given the fact that life is more about change, that means we're constantly receiving things as we go that are changing the landscape of our lives. I know someone who is an executive at this firm that I do work with, and his daughter is, or I should say was, in her early 30s, and she was on to some really incredible things, and she got cancer. And she actually passed away the other day. And I mean, it's so hard to even talk about things that are this dire in nature. Even with the example that I brought up earlier today about the fact that, my partner and I, 3 years, no longer an item. It's like, if you asked me, a couple months ago if I ever saw that coming, I would say no. But now life has completely changed. And it's changed for his family. Yeah, Joanne?
No, finish.
Yeah, and it's changed for his family. And again, she just had a child. She was full of energy, full of life, full of promise, all about attracting, all about gaining, all about growth. And then she's hit with this cancer that took her life. Yeah?
Okay, at the risk of being the most callous person in the room,
Mm-hmm.
when you say gains,
Right, yeah.
and you say attract, receive, and attitude,
Yes.
I would think, and like you put receive first.
Right,
If you put attitude first,
right.
right,
Mm-hmm.
before receive,
Right.
and like you value gains, and I'm saying this is what I'm hearing, it may not
Right.
be true, because what is gain? So you ended a relationship of 3 years,
Right,
you gained that relationship for 3 years,
right.
you've gained the opportunity of your freedom. You know what I mean? Like there's a different attitude to look at things,
Mm-hmm.
right? I gained a visa bill for $400, right? I have the opportunity to buy stuff that was $400 worth, and now I have the opportunity to express my prosperity by paying it off.
That's not counts, that's optimistic.
Yeah.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
when we use the word gains, we're thinking, so gains is only in possibly in the room, like gains means an increase, and it's absolutely, it's clearly defined as this is good. So if I've gotten a bill that's not good, well, yeah, it is good. I have the money to pay for that, and now,
Right.
I don't know, I'm just,
Yeah, no, I
I
think
didn't hear the bill as if it was a positive.
no,
I
well,
didn't hear the ending of the relationship, like if it was a positive. So I'm just saying, maybe I'm hearing it in a certain way, maybe that's not the way that you're saying it.
so what you're saying is that after listening to the example of the bill, example of the end of the relationship, the way that you're hearing me, communicate that or relay that to everyone is something that is not a positive thing.
That's what I was hearing. I don't know what everybody else heard it as.
Right. Well, I mean, in terms of me, like an example is that, let's say, is a part of me.
Mhm.
For me, it's not necessarily positives.
Right.
Like if I'm going to my mailbox and getting a bill, for me it's just like, goddamn, especially if it's a lot higher than you were thinking.
Right.
Like, why are all these extra charges on your cell phone? Where's the system access coming from? And same thing with in terms of an ended relationship. I mean, the fact that change is, and for many people, it could be one of those things where it's like, yeah, it's great, like I've gained my freedom, and this is a very positive thing. And, I am walking away from the relationship having learned a lot and knowing that this is still something that, is for the better on many levels. But the fact that it's different in the change element is what's interestingly difficult right now to deal with.
Okay.
It's almost like a chain smoker that's trying to quit completely, and you go from smoking a whole pack to half to 2 to 1. Like, I feel like my emotions will get me to a point where it's like, I'm completely okay now.
Okay, and
Yeah.
in your equation, so I've received this,
Yeah.
okay? Now I have to attract what, like something, a different kind of emotion or
Yeah, it
different-
can be attracting
change
different
my
emotion, it can be
attitude.
attracting like a new relationship, whatever, but obviously still being open to the whole receive element because, You know, if I speak about this person again, were they the person that like had everything on the checklist that I was looking for? They weren't. And I received that into my life, and I was extremely happy that I did, thinking that this is interesting. I wasn't even attracting this type of individual, but I got something completely different and it worked. You know? So still being open to that as well. So yeah, in terms of the equation that I brought up is receiving generally happens first. People probably would argue in different ways, bringing in the quantum physics, etc. And then you move into attracting coming in to play, subsequent to the reception of the idea or whatever it is that's coming into your life. And then you want to start thinking about how your attitude is around the fact that you may come up short when you're making an attempt to attract. Yeah?
Yeah, I agree. It's like I have a project to build building houses in a country that doesn't exist,
Right.
and the population doesn't believe that. It's impossible.
Right.
And that's the dream I have in me. Therefore, I receive that dream. But the rest of my community, they don't believe me. That's not even gonna happen. Those people are poor and whatever. I receive it, and now I have the guts to do what I have to do, this step, to make it happen.
Also, because we can't predict the future, or because we can't account for what's going to happen in like the next hour or the next day, is an indication that we're constantly just receiving what is coming our way. You know, like even if you are going the route of attracting something, even if you get that thing that you go there to attract, there's still an argument that the whole reception side of things are still at play, are still working. Because you can go out there to attract, but you can't actually account for the fact that it's going to happen. You know what I mean? Like you can't.
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, but you can't. I know it's funny. I'm like looking at you, Joanne. I'm like, like we're no one else is gone. Anyway, so Taz, are you gonna go into the next aspect of it, or do you want to do that after lunch?
How hungry is everyone? Do we want to eat now, or can we go on for a little bit? Your choice.
Go on.
You want to eat now? Go on? Okay.
Yeah.
We'll keep going. Okay. Self-help analysis. That's the next point. How are we analyzing all that information out there on self-help and what it is giving us, what it brings to us? So I wrote a book. And I wrote a book about my experiences. And then I went to a publisher and I got the book published. And I wanted to share my experience with everybody because it was so incredible. The good part, the bad part, the ugly, all the parts. But I wanted to share that story. And then as people read my story, they felt inspired, they felt interested, they felt this impacted them in such a way that maybe they could take that example and shift their lives. That's what happens with every book that's out there. We're reading about someone else's experience, someone else's thoughts, someone else's ideas, someone else's doctrines, someone else's ideologies. Is that a bad thing? No, there's no good or bad. Without all that information, maybe we wouldn't have all the stuff we have today. We do need information. We do need stuff coming through in order to be able to separate our thoughts and figure out what works for us and what doesn't work for us. However, how much do we require? And how much do we need to take it in? What is it that defines our own being and our own ideas to all that? Those thousands of books out there, those thousands of ideas out there. How do we know what's ours? How do you know what's really yours?